Hello, welcome back to the Trek Way. I am Trev, and he is Gray. And we are back for another episode on Star Trek Lower Decks, Season 5, Episode 5, titled Starbase 80, and just our thoughts in general on this one. Right off the bat, the positive stuff, Gray. This was my favourite episode of the season so far. Batshit crazy, pun intended, and in the best possible Lower Decks Cerritos style. Your thoughts, good sir?
I liked it a lot. I thought it was just totally off the wall, but it was good. It was a good. For once in our life, we weren't following like a million different plot lines. They were all on Starbase 80, and we were following different groups of people, but it's not the same as two totally different plot lines. So I think their stronger shows are when they don't do that. When they follow two plot lines max, or even one, their episodes tend to be better. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And this we were talking off the air, but both of us agree this would have been an absolutely perfect Halloween episode. I mean, no two ways about it. But it was great, even down to the menacing music was great. Every time they show a shot of Starbase 80.
The music, we need to touch on that because, so obviously without jumping too far ahead, the premise of this episode in the title, that we finally get to visit the dreaded Starbase 80 that is like the backwater of the whole Federation.
They keep hearing about it and then the rumors and this and that.
Yeah, it's a bit like Mariner was there. The alternate version of Freeman was there running it, so it's not a good place to be. They tried to go to any other starbase, but like Deep Space Six is like 400 years away or something. I'm thinking they heavily exaggerated that one, considering it would only take Voyager 75 years to go home from the Delta Quadrant, but the closest one is 400 years away. So I was just going with it. I don't even care. It's not correct. Starbase 80 is their best shout. Now, Mariner's freaking out because she remembers how bad it was. Like, please, let's go somewhere else. No, we have to go there because their navigational array goes down. That's the problem because it's the dolphins that run Cetacean Ops. Like, I thought you would have Cetacean Ops and then the actual computer nav as well. You'd have two systems. But to have just the one system, unless this is unique to the California class, is a bit strange. But, I'll go with it. Great. It doesn't matter. It got us to Starbase 80. The two the two dolphins that are in there, they are infected or something's wrong with them, so they need to get a part to fix the navigational array. That'll come back as to what happened to them. But the first thing we see, Gray, is when we go to Starbase 80, the music is like, or here, I guess, not see, it was like something right out of, remember that nebula in Star Trek 2, the Wrath of Khan, where they can't find each other? It was like that. I was like, this is bloody epic overkill, but it was epic, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
The music was just...
And every time they would cut to a shot of the Starbase 80, the music would play again. Then it goes back inside and it's normal. Then it goes back to the Starbase and then it play the music again.
But there were different variations of it. Different. It wasn't the exact same like tune or something, but it was in that era, that kind of range, basically, the kind of eerie kind of music, and that really helps. Like, it really adds to the ambience, because the thing is, Starbase 80 is a shithole. Yeah, if a BJ, it really is. Like, it's all old, timey-wimey stuff. It's like the officer that meets them is in a Enterprise era jumpsuit, which I like that, by the way. When you've done Enterprise, it made sense for them because it was a practical uniform with pockets. I actually think I remember, was it Riker saying something about the pockets when he was when they were on the very, very end of Enterprise when he came on? No, was it either the last episode or the second to last episode where Riker's watching the very last voyages of the NX Enterprise and he puts himself in place of the chef, but he's wearing the uniform at one point, and he's like, God, but these things are great. They've got pockets in them. Our uniforms got pockets in them. And I think he says it to Deanna Troy as well, which is pretty cool. So yeah, you see the uniforms great. You see all the old technology there, like the old comm panels on the wall. The elevators, the lifts have the twist turn
handle
mechanism.
Yeah, twist the handle and then tell it where you want to go.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why they done that even in the 60s show. Why can they not just have a voice where you just say level such and such and it took you there?
Well, they're very button oriented back then. They didn't have touch screens and stuff.
No, you just say it. You just use your voice. You don't need to touch
I agree, but I think they were into the tactile kind of stuff more in the TOS. Everybody was like flipping things and hitting things and.
Well, that's what they knew back then is their vision of the future. So, no, that was a nice touch. The place is really, really run down. Now, they need to get a chip for their navigational array to get back up running. And they keep getting the runaround from the stadium. The stadium? Where did they get that from? The station? Maybe there's a stadium there as well. It is a weird station. They're getting the runaround. They're trying to find this engineer. And the engineer is basically going from one point to the next. And they're like, come on, you're at it. They keep telling him to go somewhere else. But I feel sorry for that engineer, Gray, because he admits at the end he was doing that kind of purpose because they are on so low down the situation with Starfleet that they'll never get help. So he's literally having to almost bribe the super into helping him fix shit. And that's what they do is they go along because they've got the fancy tricorders, as he calls it. But we have Star Trek zombies that have finally. We have What did you make of them, by the way? Do you think they done it in a kind of cool way, a way that makes sense?
The only I wasn't quite sure there was going to be zombies, but when I heard him open the communicator and you hear on the other end, I'm going, ooh, zombies.
Yeah, but do you remember what Boimler said? He went, nah, that's just, Billups has probably just had a bad burrito or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking all relate.
I liked how they did it. It was really good. It was just, they obviously were getting back and forth ahead, but there was a virus of a certain kind or whatever, and everybody was contracting it through the comm badges. So it was funny when you see everybody just going, and they hit their comm badge and the next second they're like, whoa.
It just made you a bit special, basically, this thing. It just made you, like, kind of like zombies. You just wanted food, like your basic instincts. They weren't eating people, thankfully. There was a corn dog, which I've had one of before when I went to the States. I do like them. They don't sell them outside the States, but there's a corn dog vendor right beside the fusion reactor for the station, just randomly selling hot dogs.
He has to attract all these zombies, and they're all like, woo, a corn dog, and they're all going for him.
But what was his name? Chad, or
I think it was Chad or something like that. Yeah,
Chad, the corn dog vendor, came to the rescue,
and that was one of the leader or whoever her name was said this. I'm going to bring along a couple of weirdos to help with this, and he was one of them. Chad with the corn dogs.
You're right about the virus. It's basically when at the start of the episode they come back from this planet they've been down there swimming, like doing sciencey stuff, and they're all still in their wetsuits and soaking wet, and they've obviously picked up the virus then because the two dolphins joined them because water is their thing. And they picked up this sentient virus or life form that inhabits the dolphins, which then inhabits the crew, and every time they use their comm badge, it's transferred that way from person to person. It's just a virus, and they start making the zombie noises, and they're touching and licking the walls. And while that looked weird, it was hilarious. It's because the fingers and the tongue was like the hands of the virus, of the life form. It was reaching out. So it was silly, great, but it made sense. This is the thing with Star Trek. Things like the musical episode didn't make sense. They tried to make these things make sense in a science way, and I can buy them. Yeah. But you got to make them make sense. It's not like a batshit crazy TV. Well, it is, but again, they do that in a common sense kind of way as well, don't they? Yeah. But they made it make sense. This virus was just, this sentient life form, when they started talking to it, was just trying to proved to its superiors that it could do a lot better in its job. It was trying to stick it to the man, which was hilarious. Just what, like this sentient life form just going like, I am the man, I am the boss, I can do this to its superiors. And they basically are able to control it. They managed to fix up the station a little bit. But at the very end, poor Freeman, and what's his name? The commander, forgotten his name, Ransom. He is struggling. They're struggling to capture all the bats that were escaped. They said, no, we're going to help them out. We're not leave them in the lurch. Like my superior from the mirror universe done. I'm going to help them out here. And there was one massive big off bat at the end that they're trying to capture. There was a bonus thing to mention of when they're going on, before they got onto this Starbase 80, because it doesn't have the advanced biofilters, they have to do Star Trek Enterprise style decon chamber. That's what we saw in the trailer for the season. So they lather themselves up in the gel. And of course, Ransom puts it on, like he's told not to slap on too much, but he slaps it on, puts it over his hair, and he's like, oh yeah, that's the stuff, man. Yeah. Gray and I were laughing quite a lot throughout this episode.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. He was addicted to this gel because throughout the episode, he's using it for this or that. And then he's got it like on his mustache, and he's going like, oh yeah. And then they had to get the engineer's head, and he was stuck in a
He's like, I'll get some gel.
And he goes, wait, I got some gel for that.
So he keeps doing this, pulling this gel out, man. The guy's obsessed with this stuff. But then at the end, the sentient life form that was in the little chamber thing, talking to them through the comms, basically apologizes for being a dick. I mean, that was hilarious. That is just. Oh, I see. Thing is, right? They beat all the F words in Lower Decks, right? But they don't beat the word dick. Now, maybe in America, dick is not really considered that bad of a word, but here it's a bad. You don't say that casually. That word dick.
Probably it's worse for you maybe than over here. It's become a little more common. Not that you would just go running around saying it everywhere, but it's a wee bit more common here, I guess. But still, I was still surprised to see it. I mean, they did let that one go as opposed to other stuff. But and again, the only disappointing thing I had in this episode is, again, Tiana, Dr. Cat. We only see her for a second. She's a zombie cat all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And that's it. She hasn't said a word of 5 episodes. 5 episodes.
Yeah.
How can you ignore her character for 5 episodes?
Well, this will tie it into what your score is for the episode then, Greg, considering Tiana not talking and whatnot. What would you give it out of 10 and why?
I got to knock it down for a half a number for ignoring her. I'm going to give it a solid 9. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
Minds think alike. I'm also giving it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
It wasn't that 100% perfect. The aim is always to get to 10, but almost every time you will fail because that is the perfect episode, and that almost doesn't exist. Very rarely exists. So 9 out of 10 for both of us. It was funny. It was back to its humorous self. There wasn't too many subplots. There was just one main plot, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, which I prefer. Because when there's too many plots, it's all over the place. It's disjointed.
It was instead of being subplots, it was more like reactionary to what was going on.
On the main plot,
right. So they would follow different pieces of the crew in their experience of what they're doing, but they're all experiencing the same thing. They're going through the thing with the zombie and whatever and repairs, and it all was part of the episode, as opposed to making a completely different, subplot.
Yeah,
they're better episodes, like we were saying. Always have been when they don't go beyond max 2 subplots. Their episodes are better, and I'd have to go back and look at all the episodes again or whatever. But I'm almost willing to say that when they concentrated on one plot, they got to their 9s and a 10 here and there. I mean, they
probably did, and they worked themselves backwards. They undone their good work by putting in too many subplots.
Yeah,
potentially. Yeah. It was my favorite episode of the season so far by
definitely.
far. Actually, very funny, and they done it. And like let's say the Strange New Worlds episode with the singing was horrific because they tried to make it make sense, and I went they were stretching there. I was just about buying it, but I was struggling. The only funny bit of the episode was the Klingon hip hop. That was the only funny bit. Apart from that, it was awful. So they made sense of this, and it was cool to see Starbase 80 finally. So well done, guys. That is us. We'll leave it for there. Short and sweet as always in this new take. Just our thoughts rather than a breakdown. We will again, of course, be back next week. But until then, thank you, Mr. Gray. Thank you to the people. And we will see you later. Bye-bye.
Live long and prosper.
Cheers.